Welcome back. Welcome back. Here talking another offseason video. We just did the Pacers. We just did the Sixers. We just did the Wolves. We got a lot of teams on the roster here going through them all. But today we're talking about the most fun team, I think, to possibly rebuild because you got the future, Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to go through, talk about their current cap situation, what they can do, what guys they can move off of, all that kind of stuff. We're going to start off with trades, and then we'll just go with basically who we want to keep on this roster, who we can let go of. But obviously, the rumor mill has surrounded Trae Young or Darius Garland, me and Slim's favorite teams, point guards. So we'll touch on that. Finn, I'll let you get your unbiased opinion off on which guy you think they should rather trade for. But I think it's pretty point blank period that they need a true point guard, and throwing lobs to Victor Wembanyama would be fun for both of those guys.
So I think it's clear as day. Ice trade a gang. Ice trade a gang. And this isn't, I take no pleasure in saying this. I don't want to see Slim lose his point guard, but it's more along the lines of like, bro, as a Trae Young fan, you should want to see him flourish. Him playing with Wemby, because DG's one thing. Like DG's like a downgraded version of Trae in the sense of plug and play him on a team. He's not as developed, which is fine. He has more raw skill, and I think he has a higher ceiling, but he's not currently at the point of his career where Trae Young is right now. Trae Young can go get 40 tomorrow. Trae Young can also get 20 assists tomorrow. Slim said an interesting stat today. Trae Young, second in the NBA for points generated per game, 50.5. That with Wemby, pick and rolls, back doors, post-ups, off-ball screens back to Trae, ISO ball from Trae. It'd be great, and I think he'd look great in the black and white. I think it's Trae Young to the moon. I think you got to get another wing guy alongside of him who's on a semi-similar timeline. But it's Trae to the moon. Trae is hands down the best fit to play with Wemby, and it would be awesome to watch. I want him in Brooklyn, but for the love of the game, I want him in San Antonio even more.
Slim?
Blasphemy, 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 blasphemy.
So you think it wouldn't work?
I don't want Trae over there.
No, but you think it would work?
No.
Why?
I think that's what Rob Dillingham is for.
Well, why wouldn't it work with Trae?
We'll get into the draft.
Why wouldn't it work with Trae and Wemby?
I'm not saying it wouldn't work.
I'm
not saying it wouldn't work, but I'm not a fan. As a fan of Trae Young and a fan of the Hawks, I don't want to see them part ways for any reason but the narratives that everybody is, constructing on Trae Young. And plus I know he's from Texas, so like, him doing his thing, but I also know that he loves Atlanta because we embrace who he is and really believe in him. You know what I'm saying? I would say a good majority of us believe in him, but I know everybody else, let the media and all the crappy narratives really get to him and say, oh yeah, he's, not the guy for our squad, but he truly is. Even if we have the number 1 draft pick, regardless of whoever it is, let's say we pick the best cat on the block and we're gonna get into the draft. I know it's still Trae's team, and I know that Trae is still the guy to build around.
Stay on Wemby though. So, like, it
would work, dude. It would work. Trae.
This is not a Trae video. This is not a Hawks video. This is a Spurs video.
Yeah, like Trae is one of the best passers for the lob in the league. He creates his own shot, which the Spurs have a hard time doing to begin with. The only problem is any package that would involve a Trae Young or a Darius Garland would likely have to include Devin Vassell. And they're rumored to not be open to trading him. So I don't know how those trades would go through if you don't give up Devin Vassell. I saw a rumored one for the Cavs for Darius Garland was Devin Vassell and 2 first-round picks, the 8th pick and the pick next year. I think that's a fair compensation for both sides. It's interesting.
That seems like an oversell.
For Darius Garland?
Yeah.
The draft is weak this year. Next year, if they get Darius Garland, they'll be better, so their pick won't be as bad. It'll probably be low end of the lottery, if not out of the lottery, so it won't be that bad. But getting a guy like that, I think, would be really crucial for them. We're obviously going to do a full draft video overall with our mock draft and go into more in depth with it. But right now, obviously, we know the Spurs have the 4th and 8th pick. Slim already mentioned Rob Dillingham. I think he would be great for the Spurs. I think just adding more scoring from the guard position is so important for them. Yes, Devin Vassell nearly averaged 20, but it wasn't the 20 that you kind of want, if that makes sense.
Not a winning.
Yeah, you want the 20 that's going to also give you 6, 7 assists. Or you want a guy that's going to go and give you spark scoring. And you just know consistently day in, day out, he's going to give you buckets on decent efficiency, which I think Rob Dillingham can. So that's just something to ponder on. Spurs fans probably all want him. Reed Shepherd's another guy that was been thrown around. I think he would also be pretty good for them. You already know he's going to be pretty efficient. He had one of the most efficient seasons in college basketball already. So just another guy, pretty freaky athlete for a white guy, to be fair.
What whoa, don't do that. What pick do they have?
A 42-inch vert.
Okay. What pick do they have? 3?
4 and 8.
4 and 8?
And
they got a lot of opportunity.
A guy I saw that was possibly being mocked to them at 8 was Dalton Connect, a 6'6" to 6'8". I don't really know what his final height was at the combine, but a wing scorer. He's not the most efficient, but he's a guy that's going to give you – he's going to be probably a pretty decent 3-and-D guy in the NBA if he lives up to potential. But he's just a scorer, and I think that's what the Spurs need. Their offense was terrible this year. I'll look up what they actually ended up going overall, but they were 26th in offense. Like, that's just not good enough. And especially when you have a guy as talented as Wemby, you need to have more consistent scoring.
100. And I think it comes down to also the plays that are being ran. And bear with me if you will, but we already know San Antonio didn't play their strongest lineup. And without saying too much, I think that you could definitely benefit from that, having the 4 and the 8. And I know that they were set on Jeremy Sohan playing the 1 so that he could develop. So that he could develop a little bit more on ball. You had an opportunity with Trey Jones to really fit into your starting lineup, and I think that would have helped out with the efficiency for the game to come even easier to Wemby and Vassell at that point, so that he can give you that 26 and 6 or 24 and 6, 24 and 7. But I think that you really snagged Rob Dillingham. You got an opportunity to let that space play out. Rob is crafty not only in scoring, but how he facilitates for his teammates. Fast, twitchy guard, can push the ball in transition, and can really get it to you and make good plays. I think that he's a smart cat. You draft him, Pop is definitely going to instill that point guard-esque mindset and that IQ into his ability, and he has some cats to learn from. So I think that Rob Dillingham is definitely that move that you would make for a point guard that could put Wemby in the position that he for him to just execute on all levels, three level scoring. I think that Wemby is definitely that cat.
2 years from now, do you see Rob Dillingham averaging 10 assists in the NBA?
No.
Yeah. Give him the space. Go ahead.
To me, Rob Dillingham, I don't want to say his ceiling, but if he pans out and is like a really good NBA player, I think Tyrese Maxey is the guy that you would put him, his style and how he plays. Yes, phenomenal. I don't want to take anything. I think Rob's going to be really, really good. It's just the point of, is Maxey going to be a guy that's going to give you 10 assists? No, he'll give you 6.5 to 7, which I still think is exactly what they need, but that's not going to come right out of the draft. It's not. Maxey's been in the league for a few years now. So I think if you want to go more win now, which you don't have to do, you have Victor Wembanyama and you'll have young guys galore. So you can push this quote-unquote rebuild for another 3 years, no doubt, and then be amongst the elite in the conference. But I'm saying if you want to go and compete now, Rob Dillingham can't be your only facilitator on that roster. That's my only thing. I think he can be eventually, but not at the moment.
I feel that. I've been watching his game ever since he was with OTE. Saw him, ball out in Kentucky, And I think that Kentucky's production, we know cats like Book, Emmanuel Quickly, I watched a little bit of the combine, and from what I was hearing from the scouts that were there, they comped him to Darius Garland. And I know Darius Garland can give you 10. That's why I believe that Rob is too. I think that he's more of a 1 than a 2, which Maxey has, been playing the majority of his career. I think that Maxey can evolve into that 1, like we said, go check out our Philly video. But you put Paul over there with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, that alleviates a little bit more pressure off of Maxey. But you could put Paul in that same, realm of being in San Antonio and get rid of Keldon Johnson. I think that could open up space for Devin Vassell, Wemby, and Rob Dillingham to get off it, to where he can give you 10, honestly. So get another wing.
Don't you want to just let them blossom though? I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to over stimulate or like put a big net over the team with a Paul George, who I think could fit into any team. We said that in the Sixers video, but in a specific situation like the Spurs, I don't know.
I'm definitely team let him rock. Like, I want him to develop for 2-3 years, but this doesn't have to be a one move. Like, it doesn't have to. You're not going to make one move and make this team a championship contender. You're not. This team's not there yet, but they will be in a few years. Let Wemby develop. You're going to, normally teams that are around where the Spurs are try and make that move to get butts and seats. They're going to get they're going to have fans every single night for Victor Wembanyama. It's just how it's going to go. Road games, you'll be cheering for Wemby. That's just how good and talented and media crazy they are about him. So that's just one of those guys that will always be prominent in the league. And guys like the draft, I think, is going to be really important for them. And then just some shrewd moves, which we'll go into in a more once it gets closer to free agency for them. But I think they don't really have to make any huge trades. I think that Darius Garland or Trae Young, if they're on the table, you could try and make it. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary for the Spurs, to be honest. But
it's not win this time, yeah.
Huh?
It's not win now. So
no, give them 3 years, and if they're still doing not great, which I can't imagine they will be, but then
I like Rob going over there.
Yeah, Rob and Connect or Nikola Topic, or I think is how you say his name. Sorry, still doing draft stuff. But comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.